I think promoting a sense of belonging in our unit can be very difficult. Because it is so large, students can really feel like they're just a cog in a big machine. And it's first semester, first year university. So I often need to remind myself of what that experience was like when I came into university, that it's overwhelming, the scale of the university. There's so many things going on, getting new timetables, interacting in classes that I've never, interacted in that kind of setting before. It's overwhelming. Students can feel very lost in that environment, particularly in these very large units, and they really don't feel like they belong. There are a few things that we can use that we try to make that better for students. So one is, in those early classes, getting our teachers to talk in as human a way as possible about their own experiences and how we've been here before and the road's sometimes been rocky, but we're here to help and support however we can, and fostering student connections. Another one is using systems like SRES, the Student Relationship Engagement System. So that's a fantastic method that collates a lot of information about students, their marks, their attendance at classes, how much time they've spent on our website, things like this. And we can use it to then send students really specific messages that can check in with them if it looks as though from this information they may be being a little bit disengaged with the unit. There may be something that they're finding really challenging, and we can just send them an email with their name on it saying, we just wanted to check in. We thought that maybe the last couple of weeks there might be something that we can help with. If there's any challenges that you're experiencing, please let us know. And we found that the emails like this can open a conversation where students may not have felt comfortable approaching us before, but we can send them a message. And we do have to use a system like that with such a large cohort. But it does open that conversation, and students might email back and say, it's been a really difficult time at home, and we can support them, connect them with support resources. So I think it's a combination of several things, but it really comes down to trying to foster an atmosphere where students feel comfortable, and then also trying to reach out to those students who may be struggling and to let them know that we're here to support them. That's one really important aspect of what we want to do, is to choose staff who we feel will provide that sort of atmosphere for students. And when we're training staff, to continue to emphasise that that's the sort of environment that we'd like to create. I think one example of the way that we try to make students from underrepresented backgrounds feel like they belong in the unit is particularly through the activities that we do in the first couple of weeks of the unit. One thing that we are very conscious of is that the whole experience of being at university may well be very alienating for students. We know that there are many students in our unit who are the first in their family to attend university. And I think that there are a couple of ways where we can make that experience easier for students. There's a lot of information to take in when you're new to university. Understanding how a university works is very complicated. And I think that just giving a huge amount of information very early on can be difficult. Students, it's very difficult to take all that in. So when we introduce ourselves to students, we tend not to lead with things like, I did a PhD in this field, or that kind of thing. We might lead with instead a story about how, for example, I nearly failed maths in my first year. It was really tough. In chemistry, I hadn't done high school chemistry. I didn't know what I was doing. And so we lead with these experiences to hopefully show students that whatever their experience is in coming to here, we are very fallible too. We've had difficult experiences, and hopefully they feel that they can come to us if they want any more advice or support or help. Another thing that we do is to try to foster connections among students so that they get a sense of the rest of the cohort, and that there may well be other people in the cohort who have had similar experiences to them, so they don't feel so alone. And that's quite hard in a cohort of about 1,000 students. And particularly in lectures where students don't really have much of an opportunity to interact with one another. So we really focus on our smaller classes, where there are about 60 students. We'll build in a lot of group work activities. In our first week, we have an activity where the students will talk to one another about their own journey to getting to university. We emphasise they shouldn't talk about anything they don't feel comfortable sharing, but just to give them a sense of who they are working with in these classes and to allow them to work in different groups throughout that time so they meet more people, just in the hope that students will not feel like they're the only person in the class who doesn't understand what's going on, for example, that there are lots of other people around who are going through the same thing, who might share a lot in common with those students, and we can connect them together, which will hopefully give them a cohort that they can go through their whole degree with. I think another way that that's really improved the unit is that because we are able to listen to student experiences, we can tweak our approach to make sure that our material, our assessments, the way that we deliver our lectures and classes really are responsive to a diverse cohort, sort of from that universal design for learning perspective, that idea that making a change that may help students who are experiencing one particular kind of barrier may actually be very helpful for students who are in totally different circumstances. But it all comes to this perspective of trying to make our material as accessible to everyone as possible. And it's very iterative. So each year we are always, talking to students to ask, how can we change things? Is there anything that we can do to support your learning differently? And we can continue to make the unit hopefully accessible to more students every year.